town square, the people have a voice too.
I think it's awful. I don't think we need them. I think it's awful. I don't need them in town.
What the fuck? Like that, you know? And I said back to him, I said, he looked at me like, you motherfucker, you know what I mean? But I'm not that little boy no more, bro. I was so fucking enraged. I was so enraged. You know, the coaches even told me, what are you doing, bro? You can't be hitting him like that. And I was telling him, after fucking practice, watch what happens to you. Watch what happens to you, motherfucker. Welcome, guys. Every story I tell you is impactful in my life, especially season 3 here. I try to tell stories that are really, really deep, very impactful. Let me just tell you something. When I was a kid, I was the opposite of what I am now. I was very quiet. I was very shy. So it's a long time ago, but I had an epiphany in my life. My father was a great father, man. I looked up to him. I never drank, I never smoked, I never did any drug, I've never tasted any beer, wine, alcohol, never smoked weed, never smoked cigarettes, never even drank a cup of coffee. I take caffeine pills, so it doesn't, it's not because of caffeine, but regardless. Because my father never did that. And I grew up, I always wanted to be like my father, and I always wanted, I idolized my father. And, but as a kid, I was kind of quiet, I was kind of shy, believe it or not. And 5th grade was my breakout year. I remember the year before I got that trophy, I played for a team and I stunk. I was in my own world in baseball. I didn't even play. And then after 5th grade, the next year, I was the best kid in the league for like 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? In baseball. Same thing in football. My father in 5th grade changed everything. I had a teacher that actually abused me. And I remember one day I said something in class and he didn't like me. And he made it very obvious. His name was Mr. Keller. All right, so Mr. Keller, one day, he yoked me up out of a chair. And he grabbed me, lifted me up, and he slammed me off a wall and put me outside, okay? Outside the classroom door. And I was shivering like this. Mr. Kelleher was 6'4". He was a little kid. It was 5th grade. So I went home, and I told my mother, and my mother told my father. My father sat me down. He said, well, tell me what happened. And I told him he bullied me. What he did to me, slammed me off a wall and everything. And my father said, don't worry about it. You go to school, everything's going to be okay. So the next day I went to class. And all of a sudden, as you're reading, as they do roll call, Joe Matarazz, here, Joe Balls, here. Next thing you know, the door slams open, and it's my father. And my father goes to Mr. Keller, you, get over here. He reaches over, he grabs Mr. Kelleher by the fucking thing, by the collar, and pulls him right out of the class. Now, I didn't know that was gonna happen. I sat there like this. The next thing you know, teacher comes running in, Mrs. Jensen, who was next door, and she comes in and she says to me, class, everybody relax, sit down, nobody say anything, nobody do anything, don't panic, everything's okay. Greg, please get up and go to Mr. Russo's. That was the principal. So I went down to the principal's office, and Mr. Keller was sitting in a chair like this, and my father was sitting right next to him, like this. And on the other side was the principal. When I got in there, the principal sat me down, and the principal said, Mr. Keller wants to talk to you. And Mr. Keller said, Greg, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to put my hands on you. I'm sorry for anything I said, if I hurt you or whatever. And my father said, right in front of the principal, my father said, Greg, if he touches you again, I'm gonna break his ass. So you don't have to worry about another thing. He's not to, he said he's not to be in Mr. Keller's class. Mr. Russo, please tell him. Mr. Russo was, even he was shivering. He said, he was the principal, and he said to me, Greg, you're gonna go with a teacher named Mr. O'Connor, who I loved, okay? And from that moment on, my life changed, and I became the best football player, the best basketball player. I was good at everything I did. He gave me, beside my father, sticking up for me, okay? And it's ironic because that same Mr. Kelleher once called my mother and told him that I said the word motherfucker. Do you know that that's the first time I ever heard the word motherfucker in my life? It came out of my mother's mouth because my mother said, "Did you say a bad word to your teacher today?" And I said, "No, what did he say I said?" And she said, "Did you ever say the word motherfucker?" And I said, I never heard of that word, those two words put together, you know what I'm saying? And what I had once said was Mother Nature, like that. And I think he might have thought I said mother, I don't even know. So anyway, she had told my father even said, "Those are like army words. We didn't, I don't think he knows those words." Anyway, so my father always stuck up for me, no matter what. So did my mother, and I had great parents. That was my transition from stopping being bullied, because after that moment, I said, no more, okay? And I changed it through the help of not only the love of my parents but Mr. O'Connor. Because before that, what really actually drove me into my shell of being really submissive and quiet when I was little was there was a boy. And this is a really hard story for me to talk about. It's a very fucked up story. I have told it before once on the internet, but I'm going to really get into shit here. Okay, I don't want to say the kid's name because I grew up with him. But he was a couple years older than me, and he was a big kid. And he stuttered. Like really bad stuttering like that. And one day, I was with a group of kids, and he was there, and I was young. I don't know. I might have been about 7 years old, 8 years old. So I was in that group of kids, but I was talking to another kid. And the kid said something that made me laugh. The bully, this kid who was a bully, the one that stuttered, he thought I was laughing at him. So he grabbed me and punched me and beat me to the ground. Was slamming my head off the car, and he was doing the ground and pounding, and I actually wet my pants. I pissed in my pants from what he did to me. And all the other kids were there, and they saw it. I mean, he brutalized me. He beat the shit out of me. I went home, the boys helped me up, and I cried all the way home, and I was totally all wet and everything like that. I never told my parents. But this kid terrorized me in school. I would walk in the hall, and he would bump me and shit, and then he'd tell me, "I'm gonna wait for you after class, after school." Because I didn't take a bus, I walked to school. So he would wait for me, and I would go out the front, and he'd be around the back. And I'd walk on a highway, going all the way to the house on a highway, because I tried to avoid seeing him. Until one day my mother's like, "You're gonna get hit by a car. Why are you walking on Route 202 home?" And I said, "Because so-and-so beat me up a long time ago, and now he wants to beat me up again." My mother was like, "That's it, I'm gonna call his mother." And I'm like, "Oh, now you're really gonna embarrass the shit out of me." So she calls the kid's mother, and she stopped him from bullying me. So anyway, fast forward. Now I go into high school. I'm, playing high school football and everything, and I'm on a football team, and this fucking kid who bullied me was on a football team, and he was like a backup quarterback, And I hadn't seen him in years because he was older than me. And we're on a fucking team, and I've never forgotten what he did to me. I never forgot. I mean, I pissed my pants, and other kids saw that shit. So I was fucking pissed, And I'm looking at him through practice, and now I played, in high school you played both offense, defense, and shit, And I was a linebacker. And we're having a scrimmage, and, you're not supposed to tackle your own guys and stuff. You're supposed to grab them and everything. And I went on defense, and I was a younger player, and he was an older player, but I was an animal. And I went in, and he was calling audibles, and then he went back to throw a pass, and I ran through, and I took him through the ground, and I tackled him so fucking hard. He got up, and he fucking threw the football like this right at me. Kind of hit down by my feet. And he said, "What the fuck?" Like that, And I said back to him, I said, he looked at me like, "You motherfucker," you know what I mean? But I'm not that little boy no more, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not that little shy fucking little boy no more, bro. I was so fucking enraged. I was so enraged. The coaches even told me, "What are you doing, bro? You can't be hitting him like that." And I was telling him, after fucking practice, watch what happens to you. Watch what happens to you, motherfucker. So I tell my friend Joey, who passed away, "Joey, do me a favor," because he was a crazy bastard. I said, "If anybody tries to jump in, stop him. But I'm gonna take this motherfucker and I'm gonna beat the fuck out of him." Sure enough, he comes out of the locker room, out of the back, and I go, "Oh, da 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 da," and I fucking started beating on him. And I took him to the ground, and I started smashing his head. I'm not gonna fuck. I mean, I know this sounds bad, but I was spitting in his face. I was punching the shit out of him. I was going da 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 da, stuttering because I wanted to mock him. I wanted him to feel what he did to me. He made me piss my pants, and I never fucking forgot what he did to me. I mean, I was kicking him in the ass. He was trying to crawl away, and I was kicking him in the fucking ass, bro. I was kicking him in the fucking ass as he would walk, and I would mock him like this, and then I'd jump on him and I'd put him in a headlock, and I would kept spitting on him and shit. I'm not gonna fucking lie. I wanted to pull the back of his pants down and fucking rape him, because I felt such anger, bro. I wanted to fucking humiliate him the way he humiliated me. He was screaming like a girl for help. And my friend Joey made sure nobody jumped in. I humiliated him. I kicked him in the ass. I kept him, "Walk, motherfucker!" Da 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 da. And I was fucking insane. And I'm telling you, right now, I have never forgotten that motherfucker. And I once told this story before. And do you know that I just saw that cocksucker fucking about 2 months ago? And he's a gray-haired old man now. And he was talking. Ironically, I didn't hear him stutter. Maybe I beat the stuttering out of him, okay? Because I was thrown off the team after that. I heard him in Staples talking, and I just looked up, and he looked at me, and he fucking looked at me, bro. And I could see in his fucking eyes, he knew who the fuck I was. As he was walking by, he just kept looking like submissively, and he walked away. But I gotta tell you something, to this day, I actually told my girlfriend, I felt like going outside. I was gonna tell the lady, hold on a second, at Staples. I wanted to go outside and tell him, "Hey, fuckface, you remember me? You want to go again?" I'm sorry. I know there's people out there going, "Nah, that's a little bit much. You got your revenge." And some people think you shouldn't exact revenges. There's a lot of people who, when I talked about this on the internet, about the bullying thing, there's a lot of people who actually took the side of the kid that because I got to beat up my bully, bro. I got to beat up my bully. But to this day, it doesn't matter. I can beat him 100 times. I'll never forget how he made me piss my pants. You understand? I'll never forget what he did to me. He humiliated me. I pissed my fucking pants, okay? So even though I got bully retribution in one way, I've never forgotten it. And I would love to kick his ass again, to be fucking totally honest with you. I'm sorry if that offends any of you fucking people. I'm sorry, but hey, if you kids are being bullied, trust me, it's not the end of the world. You can fucking fight them back. Fuck that. But if you're a bully, fuck you. I hope you get your ass kicked. All right? Because it's real and it affects people. I'm 57 years old. He's older than me. So he might be 60 by now. But let me tell you something. He never forgot what I did to him, and I'll do it again if I could. Because what he did, I'm telling you, it was like I was raped. That's the way I felt. So, anyway, that's the end of this fucking story. I hope if any of you kids are being bullied out there, I hope this inspires you. One day, don't worry about it. You didn't feel little. One day you're going to grow up. I did. it.